If you're a fan of Richard Linklater films, Austin, Texas, and schnooky comedies, you're going to love Rent Free. I'm a huge fan of Richard Linklater's films, especially the ones shot in Austin, Texas, such as Dazed and Confused, Boyhood, and his first film to get released, Slacker. Today's film, Rent Free, which opens June 27th on demand, seek it out, bears more than a passing resemblance to Slacker. They're both very shaggy stories that are shot in Austin, Texas, and don't have a lot going on the surface. This one, though, is a lot more linear. Slacker, if you recall, you followed a couple of characters, they pass the baton to a couple other characters, and you never see the prior ones again, and it just kind of goes from one situation to the next. Well, this one is a story of two best friends. Jacob Roberts plays Ben, and David Trevino plays Jordan. And when the film opens, they're in New York City, where Ben is living, and living in a room with some friends who are allowing him to stay with him. And Jordan's there to visit, and on his last day of his visit, Ben challenges him to go around New York City all day without spending a dime. And they do that. But then Ben, who is very high-strung, very neurotic, catastrophic in his reactions to all of life's events, gets himself into a bit of trouble with the people housing him and gets kicked out, and feels his only choice is to follow Jordan back to Austin, Texas. And so in light of that day that they spent, they decide, because they have very few job prospects, no money, that they are going to live rent-free in Austin for an entire year, probably couch surfing from one apartment to the next and so forth, relying on the kindness of their friends, perhaps ex-friends, etc., family members. And so we follow them on this journey. And it is a really great snapshot of where we are in society right now, with people living in a gig economy, not really hopeful that they're going to ever be able to pay their bills, and yet they cling to each other in this time of need to get by. Now, it's not completely a hopeful story, because they don't always stick together. They don't always have each other's backs. And that's where a lot of the great tension in the film comes from. Jacob Roberts is a real find. He reminds me of those very vivid, visceral actors who you can just really relate to, even if you don't like them, because on the surface he's kind of an ass. And he is very unpredictable, and you just don't know how he's going to react to things. But that makes for a very exciting watch. Jordan, played by, again, David Trevino, is a lot more low-key, and he feels like he's carrying the weight of the world on his shoulders. So this comic duo really meshes well and makes for a film with characters that you really want to follow and find out where they go next. It is very shaggy, as I've said, but it does feature some real standout supporting performances as well. Neil Milani, in particular, plays Neil, who's one half of the most toxic gay couple you've ever met in your life, and steals every moment that he's on screen with his high level of confidence and bitchiness that makes for the most wild combination, which I really enjoyed. And then the one actor who I recognized from other films was Bill Wise, who plays Ben's father. And he's the kind of father who pays a little bit too much attention to his kids. He's got two other sons who he just is really involved with. And yet he lets everybody kind of make mistakes because he's kind of a layabout himself. And he gives a very strong performance as a kind of dad that I'm not used to seeing on screen. In fact, I'm not used to seeing this story being told. It is kind of like a queer Slacker. And our characters, they make so many mistakes. They're so imperfect and beautifully imperfect. And I really like the cinematography. I think that there's some standout shots, and he really allows you to take in Austin, Texas in these very kind of small apartments filled with tons of people who are partying all the time or playing video games. and he really just sets you into that world so well. And I can't wait to see what Fernando Andres and Tyler Rue come up with next, because this is a solid feature that, if you connect to its vibe, I think you're going to walk away feeling like you saw something fairly new, and that is gold. I hope you check it out, and if you do, please leave a comment below. And until then, later haters.